You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hi, welcome. Happy Friday. If it's the first time that you're joining us today, we're glad that you're here. If you've been here for our other shows, welcome back. We love having you. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents Pet Psychic Aminah. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and my co-host today, as always, is Pet Psychic Aminah. But today, she's also my guest. So we are going to interview her and hear her incredible journey and story. Let me welcome her to the stage. Hi, Aminah.
Happy Friday, everybody. Yay! We need balloons, even fake ones.
I know, we definitely do. We need to celebrate every day, every moment. I'm always happy when I see you, and I know we're going to have a great show, especially since the focus is on you. Yes.
Well, and then I'm going to say, okay, got to go the other way.
I know, it's the opposite way.
It's going to be on the guests. It's going to be on them, because we've been really, really fortunate to have some amazing people popping in. I love that you read off and we all attempt their names. People keep calling. I always say, hey, you can't say Aminah. Hey, you works. I'm probably the only hey you in the room. But it's going to be about them and their pets and what I'm hearing lately from a lot of pet owners and that type of stuff. But I want you guys to call in right in with your questions, because if I am born with a gift, I want to share. And this is my chance. I do a lot of free readings and that type of stuff. So this is part of my give back, because we've done this a couple of times talking about me. And then we interject with the people I bring on. There's always an animal flair or have read for them. Like Janet and I talked about 9/11 and how the dogs really suffered through that. And people don't realize that animals do suffer through death, and happy and glad and mad. So I want to really turn this on everybody. You've been invited. Please, you'll see us all over social media. Jacalyn and I have this great picture together.
Check it out. We're on Facebook.
And Friday's going to change all the time to really enhance your life. So please, you can type in a question. You can give us a call. I love to hear your voice. I'm very much an empath, so I can hear what you're saying, even if you don't use the right words. Because sometimes we don't ask the question we're really, really wanting to know the answer for. So please, we're going to do 15-minute segments, and you'll have plenty of time to call.
And for people who are listening on Business Talk Radio and cannot see our beautiful purple banner, the number to call in on is 609-961-1699. And of course, we have a global audience. So I'm not sure what the number is you would call. I think it's 011, but I don't know. So okay, Aminah, let's get started. I know you and I have talked a number of times about the types of questions that you get from people. People will say, what's it like to be a pet psychic? What's it like to be a psychic? And your answer is, this is all I know. So why don't we start off with when you realized you had these incredible gifts?
This is the earliest memory I have. I was probably around 5. I'm the youngest of 5 children, the daughter of a coach. My dad played anything, as we say, with a ball, but it was also everything. The Frisbees were involved. I was a lifeguard. I have done first aid and that type of stuff for a lifetime. So our lives were very, very rich, very rich. But my mom really was great at centering in. She was a public speaker. She built parks for the city, all that kind of stuff. So my gardening talent definitely comes from, and all of these other things from my parents. So when she saw that I really liked animals and was always talking to the spiders, I lived in a high desert. There's not much but horny toads, and horny toads really don't have much to say. It's a very small brain. So it's bug, let's go for the bug. So I was always, I was the youngest. So I always kind of was left on my own. And in those days, you just wandered the desert. And I mean, literally, I lived in a desert. So you just wandered around with the tumbleweeds. And so I would talk to the horny toads, and I talked to this. And in the beginning, you think, oh, I'm just a child, and it's a childish thing to do. But we had a cat eventually, and I talked to the cat. So the best story, terrible story, is I was about 3 or 4. I was little, and the cat kept tickling my face with the whiskers. So I cut them off.
Oh my.
And if you know the whiskers are there, that's bad. Don't do that.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, that doesn't sound like it would be too pleasant.
Well, no, the cat's sitting there, feet are a little tucked up. And I said, these are really annoying. I don't know why and I'm 4. So there's scissors in my parox. Those are the days where scissors, you ran with them. Literally, we drank paint. I don't know, licked the sidewalks. We had immunity from everything because we were constantly just picking our food up off, the ground and going, oh, well, the candy's still good, a little dirt around that, whatever. So I just kind of clipped them up so they were shorter. And I found out later, like when I was 15, that's what those are for. So these are sensors. This is how they fit through their head through things and know when they're coming up to something, walking in the dark and all that. It didn't hurt him because, of course, he's just like, what is she doing? Clip, 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 clip. But, you learn as a child to go, yeah, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. Guess what? They grew back.
Now, wait, I have a question for you. When you did that to the cat, were you getting feedback that's, hi, I'm in pain, or why did you do that?
No, it was me. It was like, this tickles and I'm 4. So what you do is, my point is, you make mistakes. It doesn't matter about your gifts as you're learning who you are. I'm a 4-year-old. I'm learning who I am. I'm learning the cat will sit still and I won't cut the whiskers. And my mother finds out later, goes, why does the cat look funny? Oh, it was tickling my face. And she's like, because in a 4-year-old, that makes sense. And I mean, even I make mistakes. I'm learning every single day, and I want to empower people to own it and then say, do better. We can do better. Right now, we're dealing with just a huge crisis with every day with neutering and spaying our animals. A big discussion. I was online the other day of just trying to support a woman who's doing feeding of strays. And her neighbor, one of the neighbors, not all of them, is stealing all of the bowls because they don't want her feeding. They are attributing her feeding the strays to procreation, that she's causing all the babies. And it's like, well, no, I mean, yes, they will have babies according to the food of that, but no, she's having compassion for them not garbage hunting or not getting, diseases and passing them on and that type of stuff. What she's not getting support. And that's where I was stepping in with trying to support her and give her more resources, and maybe that she hadn't looked at. And she's done a really brilliant job. And then skills to talk to the neighbors about, if you don't help fix the problem by you stealing the bowls and these cats dying of disease, of killing all the birds in the neighborhood because they've got to eat or whatever, you're not seeing the big picture. Yes, we need to spay and neuter, but we return those cats back to the neighborhoods because they do serve a purpose and that kind of stuff. But it's those billion babies that are out there decimating the bird population and that kind of stuff. But maybe this neighbor's not educated. So we're going.
So I want to just see if I can understand. So we're in this crisis. People are moving. People have passed away. Family members had pets, and they just let them go, or they just left them. And now they're in neighborhoods looking for food, and you've got certain people who want to help feed them because they see the value in that, and other people stealing the bowls and preventing that. So you now have to talk to the neighbor and explain why the neighbor shouldn't be stealing the bowls.
If we get people a part of the solution as much as we can. We all not everybody likes animals. I'm okay with that. I still can talk to you. If you don't like animals, I might still like you. But, even it might be my life, but it doesn't have to be yours. But at some point, there's the humanity of saying, but this is a sentient being that God gave us, or, that has a right to live. And I'm just trying to get them so they don't die of this horrible, terrible death. She has approached all her shelters, and they are, of course, full and busy, but they won't even help. Where here in the San Jose Bay Area, we have shelters that will take the animals for free and spay and neuter them, and then you go put them back. What happens is they continue living in their, colonies and stuff like that, but they're not growing. So in 1 year, you can go from 2 cats, male, female, to 10 cats, to 20 cats. In 5 years, you're going to have 50 to 75 cats at the smallest amount, because 1 cat can have 1 to 7 babies and anything in between there, depending on their food. Animals in the wild have babies according to the food that's provided. So I understand the neighbor is looking at, she's feeding them, they're having babies. It's part of the problem. If we don't feed them, they don't have babies. Well, in the short answer, well, sure, that's possible, but wouldn't you rather catch and release means all your rodent problem pretty much goes away. They stop breeding, and that animal gets to go on with a good life. They still need to eat. So what you don't want is them decimating the native bird population. We have such a problem with domesticated animals really decimating the natural world that should be out there. And we're talking everything from butterflies to birds to everything out there. If you've got a carnivore running around, you've got wild dogs, they run in packs. So you're worried about your kids, you're worried about the neighbors, you're worried about, the disease, cats, scratches, even your own house cat can be a huge bacterial infection scratch, because it's just the nature of how people react to those scratches. So we're trying to take a terrible situation. Catch and release is part of that solution. They're caught, they're fixed, and they're returned. Because what we find is when they're caught, they're fixed, and then they go to a shelter, and they usually end up being put down because there's too many of them. So by returning them, they live out their life. And 90% of these catch and release animals are in a place where somebody goes out and feeds them every day. And they have whole groups of neighbors. They'll go out and buy dry food so that they're not decimating the bird population. They're not taking over the wildlife and that type of stuff. You're going to take a dog and you're going to just go, hey, have a good life. A dog.
Yeah, that's a question I have. So I'm wondering. Sorry, I hear myself twice. I'm wondering if you have a domesticated animal and you abandon it and now it's living in the wild, that is a complete lifestyle adjustment. And so I'm wondering mentally, emotionally, what that does for the pet. It's exactly. Like, exactly. That's got to be overwhelming.
Well, and imagine, this is what I preach, and I literally going to use the word preach because I need people to hear this, is spay and neutering is vital, because there's enough puppies, everything out there. There's enough billion breeders that can't get rid of their dogs or whatever. And I'm not saying purebreds are a bad thing. Every animal has a purpose, but we're doing too many. It's all about the mighty buck. If you look at some of the rescues that are going on in these horrible situations with some breeders, why did pet stores get banned from keeping puppies and kittens and all that? You can't do, I don't know about your state, but in California, you can't do it. You cannot have a pet store with puppies and kittens, because what was happening, they were coming from factory breeders, and they were in these horrible little cages, and the mother is having a set of babies every 6 months. I mean, I don't know about you, if I had a baby every 6 months, my body would be trashed after the third one.
So
my mother-in-law had 7-pound twins, and the woman was 4 or 9.
Oh my gosh!
And I prayed for her.
We do have a couple of comments that because I think it's appropriate. It's from the same person. The person says, hello. I think your name is Juan Suna. In my country, we eat dogs.
Well, and that's a whole different controversy. And that's a whole different controversy about, yes, their meat and that kind of stuff. But I don't want to open the can of worms on veganism to non-veganism and that kind of stuff. Humanity needs to be more humane. We are one of the most self-centered, selfish creatures that I think God ever made, because we don't take care. What are we living through right now? We're in a controversial time of mask, no mask. And for me, in the animal world, it's down to what is the greater good for the pack. Well, if you lived in a pack, and if you truly lived in a world where we all cared about each other, all of us, then we would want to make sure we had enough food, we had enough water, you only had enough babies that you could support. And in the wild, that's what happens. You'll get a wolf that will have 3 babies one year, 6 babies the next year, same wolves, same bonded pair. But because the way God put it together in the world is when there is plenty of bunnies running around and they can feed 6 puppies, her body will carry 6 puppies. When it's a drought, when there's hardly any grass on the ground and the cattle don't have food and you will see you'll have 2 puppies. You'll have 1 puppy because her body adjusts to that. Now, humanity doesn't do that. And then we've got artificial, means to have children and that type of stuff. We have still children. We don't have, adoption or orphanages per se, but we have children being born to teenagers and 50-year-olds that don't want to have any more children. So children are still put up for adoption and that kind of stuff. So humanity doesn't have the check and balance that the animal world does. So we want to check and balance what we're doing. If in your country you eat them, I would say, wouldn't you want? Let me use organic food as a source. If I'm going to eat a cow, wouldn't I want one that was grazed, that was in the fresh sunshine, or a milking cow or whatever, and I knew that their body that I'm consuming either part of or parts of, like the milk, is healthy for me, meaning it was grown healthy, it was harvested healthy, it was given natural grass instead of grain. If you've ever seen a milking industry of the past, especially in the 70s, if you really get it, I'm going to think of her name, but there's an autistic woman, Temple Grandin. If you have never read any of her work, she's the first woman to work in the cattle industry and has a PhD or a couple of them. And she's talking about humanely, killing them for food and humanely having them go through. The cattle would be dipped in an antibiotic type thing to keep them, healthy before they're slaughtered. But the problem is part of them were breaking their legs on the in and out because cattle don't like dark. So they take them in from a sunshine thing into a dark barn and they go around and eventually they, be shot and all this kind of stuff. She created an entire system because of her gift of autism. And I really mean it, her gift of autism, her vision, her mind saw what the cow saw. And if you had them calm and happy and well adjusted before they were slaughtered, you're getting that meat. Wouldn't you want good meat that was happy instead of good meat? I mean, so if you're eating dogs or not, it's not the point is what is it going through prior to that? And so many times we see them in these teeny little cages, frightened, scared, and their fur half gone. And you want to eat that? Put in your body what you want your skin and your hair to look like.
Your body's your temple, right? We have to take care of it.
Exactly.
We also have to take a break from this fascinating conversation because we have sponsors. So stay with us. We'll be right back. We're going to hear some more of Aminah's story.
Have you ever tried to build people into a team? Maybe you've tried bowling or ziplining or paintball or pizza making. These events can be fun and they can make everybody happy for a while. But in the long run, do they really turn people into a team? Now, imagine the members of your team scattered all over the world, working from trains and airplanes, from remote offices, client locations, or working from home. How do you build a winning team when your playing field might be the entire world? With BCAT, we've created the answer. Working completely online, no matter where your people are, we turn them into an engaged and motivated team in 3 simple steps. First, we use the BCAT survey. which they can take online, anywhere, anytime, to reveal the North Star that represents their shared pride in the work they do. Next, we work with your team's leaders and stakeholders to convert that North Star into a role target, an ideal virtual person who represents your team's best self, living its best day at work. With our internet tools, we hang your North Star high in the sky, where everyone on your team can see it, no matter where in the world they might be. Then we guide and help everyone on your team in creating personal plans to align themselves with your team's North Star. We help each of them develop the positive habits that, day by day, every day, steer them closer to your North Star, aligning themselves with your team's signature dreams and ideals. And over the long haul, we offer programs and coaching techniques that help them stick to their plans. Remote team building isn't hard. It doesn't take long. And it's just as much fun as pizzas and paintball. You build winning teams around a purpose, not a place. BCAT is the answer.
Have you just lost your job or have been laid off and you are looking to transition to a new job or career? Maybe you have even tried submitting tons of applications and yet you keep getting turned down for jobs you qualify for. Don't wait until you become overwhelmed with rejections when you can easily transition or get your dream job. Let MJW Careers guide you to the right career path and a better, brighter future. At MJW Careers, we know what hiring managers are looking for, and our goal is to land you the job you deserve. What makes MJW Careers a wonderful provider over other services is our pragmatic and scientific approach to resume writing. There are rules, there are visual cues, there are content best practices. We understand those and work within the boundaries to ensure our clients' messaging appeals to the decision makers. Our career consultants will help you transition into new roles quickly and effectively. With our experience in virtually every industry, we will provide direction in the frustrating job market by helping you write a customized, professional resume and prepare you for your interview as well. Join the great number of people we have helped scale up to greater things in their careers. Let us help you on your career journey. Come visit us, www.jobstickers.com, to learn more and grab a free resume review or ebook.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
That's right. You are listening to Business Talk Radio, but you're also watching us on 5 platforms right now for a total of 6. And then after our live stream, we become a podcast on 5 other platforms, so 11 platforms in total. This is Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, presents Pet Psychic Aminah over here. And normally we would have a guest, but we are taking every so many weeks to talk about your story, encouraging people to call in. I'm going to run the banner again. We'd love to hear from you. The number is 609-961-1699. Good thing I have that memorized. Okay, I'm a little slow on the banners. So well, let's go back.
I'll give you a tip. I'll give you sign language or something.
Yeah, exactly. So we are talking about your journey and having a lot of really good information. So you were 4 at the time with the cat whiskers. And then what's the next major thing that you remember that you realized that you had a gift?
In those years, I don't remember being any older than 6. So in those years, I always spoke in the first person. So when I talked about our cat socks, it was, don't do that. He doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. Oh, isn't socks great? Look how she is with her babies. And she said, blah, blah, blah. So as any innocent child, you speak from what you know or hear, and you just assume everybody heard it because my parents and my siblings talk to me all the time. So why wouldn't, when I hear the dog next door or walk down the street, because this would happen everywhere. And that kind of stuff. And I didn't cognitively there's a better way to pronounce that word, cognitively understand that I also heard the trees, and the cactuses don't say much, but they have feelings and that kind of stuff. I could already feel, thirsty, needing sun, all that kind of stuff. I of course have now studied all of this in the Western world of studying in college, because I wanted to see what was already written out there after living it. But after a while you go, that's not what they see. I'm really, really lucky. My mom knew people in the exotic animal industry. I know it might be weird, but when I was probably around 7 to 8, she took me to a science lab, and they took a caiman, which is a little bitty alligator. He was about this big with a tail, and they were feeding him with live bait. And so I'm watching going, ooh, and look at how they eat, and they ripped him apart in half. And, so you'd think that would be really gross. But for me, I'm taking the science of it at that point and understanding that this animal needed to eat. And reptiles specifically are very, very small brains. So it's a very, I'm hungry, I want, cold, hot, that kind of stuff. They're not a conversational one. What I really, really always stress is, no matter what you hear or what you think you hear or you make up, talk to your pets. Talk to your pets. I know Dr. Jacalyn does. I know it because I've talked to her pets, and their vocabulary is amazing, because just think if you're talking to somebody from another country and you guys get to know each other, and you learn hi, and then you learn how are you, and then you learn, you know what I mean? Here, let me give you a soda. And in some place they call it pop or Coke or whatever. So if you learn somebody else's language, what do you build? Dr. Jacalyn, what do you build?
You build a relationship.
Yes. And empathy and sympathy and knowledge and everything. My parents had us travel. My dad was a teacher. So I've seen the United States 5 times. I've been to Canada, I've been to Europe, I've been to the Middle East. I'm really, really, really fortunate. So what it tells me is I'm better now today able to accept somebody's way of life better because I've been in their country, or I've seen the way they live and why they do what they do. For example, when I was around Middle Easterners for the first few years, I always, a lot of California slang, if it's California. And I would say things like, oh, that is so off the wall. And they'd go, what does the wall have to do with this conversation? It's like, that's not really what that means. And, and I would say something like, oh, what's up, dude? And guess what somebody I ended up marrying did? I don't see anything. What is up? So if you don't learn people's language, and this is animals too, I want to make it personal. If you want to learn how to talk to your dog, then talk to your dog and tell them about your day. And this is what I did as a small child. I was alone a lot. So I would read the kitties' books, and I would tell them about my day. And of course, I'd make up all kinds of stories. And then when I was out in the middle of the desert, because in those days you could walk around by yourself, nobody tried to kidnap you, so nobody wanted me. And I would walk around and tell God stories. And he's a great listener, absolutely great listener. And so what you're fostering is a communication. And what I stress, the biggest thing, if anybody walks away from one thing, I think this would be it. Besides spay and neuter, we don't need more puppies or kitties, but is talk to your pets. Please talk to your pets, because they learn your language. They learn your body language. They learn your happy, sad, mad, glad. When our energy changes, they go, whoa, what's up? Have your animals ever told you something? You're like, what? Like there's somebody coming to the door. I told that story, weeks ago about how we know who's coming to the door. Well, how do you know that? Well, look at the cat. The cat's staring at the door. If it's a door in the door, then nobody's coming to our door. And that was apartment living and that type of stuff. You can trust your animals when you can have that symbiotic relationship of love and camaraderie and commitments. There was an article just 4 weeks ago about a little boy who walked away from his home and into some foresty area, and it got really cold, like down in the 30s that night. And the police are out and the families are out and everybody's panicked. When they found this little boy, he was safe, he was warm because the family dog had found him first and had wrapped his body around him. Because the little boy wasn't, able to come and go because the dog had tried to pull the backpack. You could see it was all wet, and he tried to pull the little boy, but he was so frightened. So the dog just wrapped his body around him because an animal knows to save your life, you have to be warm, fed, water, whatever that's necessary to do. There's a million YouTube videos now of mama ducks pulling the police over, or a man walking down the street. There was a construction man. There's a really great video, and because she walked her babies over a grate, and then the babies fell in to the sewer.
Oh no!
And she panicked, of course. And so what did she do? She quacked and quacked so loud until she could get one of the pedestrians, and it was actually a construction worker. And they stopped. They saw her when they're like, wait a minute, that duck's like freaking out. And they do work on the sewage enough, so they said something happened. And she wouldn't leave the grate. She kept looking at the grate and looking at them and quacking and quacking and quacking. So they pulled the grate up and they scooped all these babies out. And she just calmly sat there and waited till each one. Animals are figuring out we can help and we can do other things besides the destruction we also do in the world. I just finished a class on whales, and just a magical conversation. If I could speak whale, there's a movie with this girl going, oh, wow. It's one of the Disney ones. I was like, I don't know how to speak whale. But talking about how they understand the pods and how the families work together. We are not the only one that has the corner on, if you want to say humanity or care or love and all that. And you're getting into the warm-blooded animals that give birth to their young and nurse their young. They feel just like we do. And so we should treat them with the same kindness that I hope we treat our fellow man. And there's so many pet owners know how to do that.
I just got chills when you told the story about the ducks. I can just imagine the mother duck and how terrified, and so glad that somebody helped out, one or two people, whomever.
Well, the one guy got down there, scooped them, and handed to the next guy, who and the next guy handed it to them. So it was a great team effort, because once the guys realized what was going on, you just see that. And there's so many times you'll see a stray animal has no home, kind of rough, and they'll find a lost child. There's stories throughout history. They'll find a lost child. Adults don't seem to wander off on their own, but if they have special needs and you have a child or an adult who has special needs, they're going to know. I want to really stress something with people who have health issues, or you don't know you have health issues. Because I don't know you. I don't know that I would know I was having a heart attack. Because I ate, I don't know, potatoes for lunch, or I'm a little congested or whatever. But if your pet is coming up to you and bumping you in the breast, and you're a woman or a man, it does not matter. Men get breast cancer, okay? If they're pawing at your skin, if they're doing something uncharacteristic, go to the doctor yesterday, because they are trying their best to tell you. They can smell cancer, they can smell everything that's going on chemically in your body. They know when you're a drunk. I had a client, and his dog always, how are you? What does your dog think? Oh, he smells funny, but he's mine. He took medication and he drank alcohol. So don't even talk about the coffee. So.
You have so many great stories. Talk to us a little bit, because you've shared this before, the importance of the bee kingdom and what happens if bees keep dying.
We're going to be really hungry. We're going to be, you think, there you go. Here's the flip side. I'm a cup half full girl. So if you would like the entire population to have no more weight issues, just keep killing the bees. We won't have anything to eat. So I don't even think the potato chips will last, because the potatoes won't be growing. Because if you don't have a honeybee, what one thing, the honeybee, you're going to be really, really hungry, because it all has to start somewhere. And that is so, so important. And I preach two things: is put native flowers. This is really important. Now, I don't want you to just go down and get anybody's flower from anywhere, and that's lovely, but I want you to go to a natural nursery where it's a growing flower that puts out any kind. And if you get allergies, that's fine. You can just put it downwind. But put something out for the honeybees. It's the girls that do the work. They go out, they collect, they get the little pollen on their little legs. It's so cool. Sorry, for me. I know. I talk to the spiders in the house too. And my daughter's like, Mom, what are you doing? Oh, I'm talking to Bob. They're all Bob. And then you keep that little silo cup from Christmas. And I say, okay, Bob, I have a rule, just not directly over my head, not over the toilet. Just go to the left of the toilet, the right of the toilet.
Right.
But I don't have mosquitoes in California, so that's not it. But they eat bugs. Do you want them to eat the mosquitoes? Yay, go and eat the mosquitoes. But the little girls are working hard, and the boys are back building the hive, working, protecting the queen and all that. The best time, and I know I told you so, to pretend you don't know, the best time to be around honeybees. What's the best time, safest time? Any? Guess? Okay, the safest time is when they're swarming. That is the safest time to be around a honeybee. Why? Everybody freaks out, and I want to really, really stress this. It is the queen, the current queen, is moving to a new home. And so they are protecting her. All the girls are swarming around her to move to her new home. Well, they can go as far as that 5 to 7 miles. And they've already picked a place. It's already done. So if you see them up on a sign or up on the side of a bush, on a building, which is where they're going to rest, they're tired. They're going to rest. But actually, that's the most safest time, because as long as you leave them alone, they're not in protection mode of anything but her. So just let them be. And I made it funny. Let them be. It's BE. And let them get out. So they will go up to 5 miles. They've already chosen the place. If you're concerned about safety or whatever, please call your local agricultural UC department where they have beekeepers' phone numbers. Get a hold of a beekeeper. They will be thrilled to come out and take them into their hive and that kind of stuff. We will starve to death without these girls. We really will. If you don't have pollination, everything you want to eat is somehow transferred back to something that was pollinated. Your wheat, your corn, your flowers. Pick something. You need to eat.
It sounds like what you're saying is that the honeybee doesn't want to attack us, doesn't want to attack humans. I mean, of course, they're this big and we're however big.
Yeah,
but if
you be afraid, I'd be afraid.
Yes. Exactly. When we start swatting or whatever, then they get annoyed. So, what's the best thing to do? Just stand still if bees are around.
Go walk the other direction.
Brilliant! I didn't even think of that.
It's really simple. We, as humanity, really create our own problems. Oh my God, I'm poor. Oh my God, I'm poor. Oh my God, I'm poor. Did you go get a job today? Oh no, didn't do that. I mean, is that the simplest answer I can give you? We all know that person. I have some relatives. We're being nameless. This is recorded. They might listen someday. And I did not mention your name. You feel guilty. That's up to you. But in the animal world, it's balance. It's about balance and fairness and that type of stuff. Are there killer bees? Sure, but they don't live in California. Do they live where you live? I don't. I
don't think so. What I've seen come back recently, we have to take a break, but we've talked about this before, giant mosquitoes. I mean, like I look out on the screen.
Alaska. You're talking about Alaska. They're taking cattle. They're taking, all the stories about the bison and then the mosquitoes. I have actually been in Alaska in the summertime. I spent a summer up there, and it's so weird because it never gets dark. And you're like, I'm going to go to sleep. No, it's sunset. No, it's just never dark.
Never dark.
One of the guys, he thought it would be great to watch us let the mosquito bite him. And I'm thinking, why? Because he just let it go and it fills with blood and everything. Yes, there are mosquitoes and there are pests we don't understand, but I'm not God, so I never pretend to be. He creates everything for a reason. So you don't want mosquitoes. Wear long sleeves. Don't go to Alaska in the summer. I don't know. Pick something common that you can. There's so many things you can do without going to chemicals. Yes, they make mosquito repellent. Sure. You're going to go hiking in the Alps or wherever. I don't even think they have mosquitoes in the Alps, but what I mean? With someplace rural, there are lots of natural ways you can do. What you don't want to do, don't wear perfume. Okay,
right.
Guys, resist. But women, you don't understand it's an attraction. And it's creating a problem. So if you have it in your hair, not just care, but the shampoo, the soap, everybody might be seeing this thing I've got going. My skin is so incredibly sensitive. This is caused by my mask. And it's just, I've had this problem since I was a little kid. My skin is so sensitive. I use just plain old ivory soap with nothing in it because I can't handle the chemicals. But you need to think about that kind of stuff when you go to a place where a bug's going to literally hunt you down. It's like, ooh, carnivore, let's get that blood.
Dinner's here. I use ivory soap also.
It's not bad. And why they exist, I don't know. I haven't had that conversation with God yet. It's not on the top 10 list of why are those, because cockroaches, I understand. They have an amazing life and an amazing reason. Rats, I understand, and they're highly intelligent. I mean, they've got rats that have been on the bomb squad in the Middle Eastern countries trying to get the ones that are left behind after wars. Because they're literally killing villagers as they're building their towns back up. And they have rats that are like this big. They're like little dogs. They're bigger than chihuahuas. And rats are highly intelligent. Highly intelligent. Here's a great tidbit I love giving people. What is the one animal that understands a mirror is themselves? Because cats don't. We've all seen those pictures, right?
Are you going to say a rat?
Nope.
Anybody out there want to make a guess? Because we're going to take a break. So ask the question again and we'll take a break. See if anyone wants to answer.
Put your guesses in.
What is the most intelligent what is the animal that realizes it's a reflection of themselves when they look in the mirror?
Yes.
All right. We hope to hear from you.
Only. We haven't tested all of them, but this is one of the only.
One of the only. All right, we'll be right back. We hope to hear from you. Stay with us here on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents Pet Psychic Aminah. Okay, we'll be right back. Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
It's what we do together that counts. The Big Alliance story. A true story about faith over adversity, perseverance, and entrepreneurship. Read Earl's story and how he became an entrepreneur. Available on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible.com. For more information, contact Earl Hurd at earlhurd@bicalliance.com or call 1-800-460-4242.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. We're glad to have you. We are here with pet psychic Aminah. We're hearing some of her journey. And Aminah, what I wanted to share was during the commercial breaks, I have been doing some balancing poses, and it made me start to think about the balance of the world. And so when you were talking about the honeybees and how many times we don't take into consideration how each of these beings represents something important in terms of the whole process of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If we don't understand the mosquito, if we don't understand the cockroach, or if we don't understand the rat, or whatever you think is a pest, you know, for me, mosquitoes are pretty high up there. I've been bitten a lot. Don't ever go hiking in the middle of nowhere with a lake nearby. Oh my gosh, they go all night. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I've tried it all, and it's just like, no, backpacking in the wilderness is not my thing anymore. And
not
it's
me either.
Mosquitoes. I don't care about everything else. It's just beautiful up there in the trees in the world of what I consider just the world of God, which is just that would be my church. That would be where I'd go because I hear the plants and the trees and all that kind of stuff. And I noticed that, you know, this last year I've had some really fun challenges with the hands and everything. And I noticed that my plants suffered. And it's not that I neglected them. I didn't water them and I didn't, you know, normally think. I went through such a tough time being in pain so much that I noticed that my plants here at the house really started to look a little dicey. And I was like, oh no. So, and I really had to replant a bunch of them and send a lot of love. But again, you're talking about me who hears that and who loves that and the empath. And I'm like, okay, wow. I never thought about how my energy affects my world. And, you know, we can have something terrible happen to us. And then you mope around all day long and somebody comes by and says, you know, I really love that you did blah, 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 or thank you something. And it changes your day, changes your world. So I always encourage you, leave somebody with whatever is genuine. Don't make it up. Because everybody knows, especially the women. We just know. There's something good about everybody, absolutely everybody. And I know I try to stop when I see somebody, because this is the hair I was born with. It's straight, and it's just going to be straight. It's going to be thin. So I see these people that have naturally curly hair, or at least 500 more strands of hair than I do. And if I'm passing by, I said, your hair is just beautiful, or that outfit is just beautiful. If I truly mean it, because guess what? They're going to know. I made that up, you know, and it's just like, no, there's no reason to say anything if you have nothing nice to say. Isn't that what our mothers taught us?
Yes, for sure. Definitely.
And like I said, so yes, love the honeybees. Love what you can.
And be kind to the animal kingdom, and be kind to each other. You did put out a question there. We don't have anyone who put a comment in, I guess because they're all afraid to answer. But what is the
wrong?
Yes. So tell us again the question and what's the answer?
Let's see. What was
we have a comment. Okay. Unrelated, but we have a comment. Hi, Kay. That's fascinating. A lot of my plants died when I was going through separation. The ones left are flowering like crazy now.
See, Kay, we are so connected by all of that, and now Jacalyn's going to have to tell me what my question is, because I had that commercial and I got to talk to the tree.
Yes.
And
thank you, Kay. We actually have an interview with Kay after this. So the question was, which animal knows that it's looking at its own reflection when it's looking in the mirror?
It's the same one that'll tell you if you have cancer or not, and I've seen it done. And it is a pig. Pigs are highly intelligent. We're talking dolphins, cousin. There's a good contest. They've been able to test it, and again, you see the cat. It's hilarious when the cat sees her reflection, and we have many videos of that. A pig understands that that's themselves. They look at it and go, yeah, I'm doing good. And just keeps going. Why? How come? Well, again, that's a God question, and that type of stuff. There's a wonderful video. I wish I could find it. It's very, very old. It was on news, actually. And they recreated it because, of course, they didn't get it live. This woman was in probably her 50s or 60s, and she was laying on the couch, and her pot-belly pig, a lot of people do have them as pets, and they can be potty trained. They're highly intelligent, as I said, with the mirror thing. And he kept bumping her. He kept bumping into her. And she's like, what are you doing? He'd get on a couch, because she'd had little stairs to get up on the couch, because it's bad for their hips if they don't really jump. Pigs don't do that. You could go and blow a horn behind them. They're still not going to jump. They'll look at you like, what are you doing? You do the dog too. Now the cats, they're hilarious. They'll jump, especially if you sneak on them. I don't know how to sneak up on a cat, really. You ever seen those ears? They know everything.
They know, yeah,
everywhere. So that you'd have to really get them in a deep Z. But if any of your pets, I'm going to make this, I'm not going to give you the whole story, maybe, because it's a fabulous story. Anyways, so this pig, she collapsed on the couch, and he walked out to the street. She lived fairly rural. So he walked out to the street, and the cars would drive by them. If there's a pig in the street, people like me are going to stop and go, why is there a pig in the street? This is not where, I don't see him driving. So I'm going to say, so he kept doing it, kept going out, and the cars kept driving by. And he kept going back into his home, because they had a doggy door so the pig could come and go. And so he went down to the neighbor, and the neighbor knew who this pig was, because, and it's fairly rural if you're in a wilderness kind of town, and that type of stuff. They had a lot of pine trees. So he's like, wait a minute, what's this pig doing here? And the pig kept going to the man and then walking a few steps. And if the man didn't follow, the pig went back. So the man got pretty close to that. Wait a minute, he wants me to follow him. So he followed him back to the house. The woman had a stroke. She was on the floor. But the pig had tried to tell her when she was sitting on the couch that she was going to have this stroke, because the electricity in our body, and this is just what science is just figuring out, the animals can feel the change. They know when we're going to have a glucose problem. They know when we're going to faint. That's why therapy dogs save lives. That's why police dogs save lives. They're not just trained to take somebody down and everything. They know if somebody's smoking cocaine or if they're smoking this, and it's about teaching the language for both partners to figure it out. What we don't listen to sometimes is our animals are trying very hard, especially when they're bonded to you, to say, hey, something's up and we need to do this. And everybody was so moved that it was a pig. Well, sorry, pig's more intelligent than anything. But if your dog comes up and starts bumping you on the leg, and I mean, it's repetitive and it's weird, or paws at a certain area, for women, especially in breast cancer, heart attacks, whatever, you know what, just go to the doctor. I mean, it's not that complicated, and maybe they can't find it yet because animals will sense it prior it to really becoming a problem. So, hopefully you have a good doctor that will look into it, or you've got a breast exam coming up and that type of stuff. They know. One of my favorite pet sayings is, his owner said, "Hey, well, what does he think of me?" I tried to figure out, how do I say this nicely? And he smells funny, but he's mine. and he had heart medicine, and he drank not water, and he took all these blood pressure medicines, but they were bonded. So the animal adjusts to the smell.
So many fascinating stories. You have seen a lot, and I love how you share each type of animal, what it is they like, what they don't like, and I think that's really interesting. We have a few minutes left. In the time that we have left, I'd love to hear what you say to people, because I know you get this all the time. How do I know if I'm a psychic? How can I become a psychic? Is there a course I can take, right? So can you address that?
I'm going to try. This is one place that I feel, I definitely believe not all gifts are for all people, or I'm never going to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If you know who that is, then I'm never going to be tall enough or anything. It doesn't matter how good an athlete I was in my 20s and 30s. So you have to find what you're good at. You have to find where your heart lies. If it's in rescues of animals, if it is caring for animals, or if it is reading for animals. And there's a lot of great lessons and teachers out there to teach it. I have been teaching and coaching forever. This is one area I decided not to go into because I feel that I don't have the right answer for your question. So how would I teach that? I know what I know because God has a little voice in my head, and I'm not on any drugs that have created that little voice that I know of. And I'm not going to use my age, but I've had an entire lifetime, a good one, of knowing that I'm right. I'm lucky enough to have tested it out. So if you feel like you want to try this, there's lots of places that teach it. If it's right for you, you will learn through their pathways. I have met many teachers, and it did never resonate with me. I did never take at any classes. I attempted it in my 20s or 30s thinking, oh, well, this and this. What's really neat is when I was told I'd get a spirit guide, because all psychics have them, and it's great to have somebody bigger, stronger, and that my guide's name is Gabriel, told by him to me. And it's like having a voice in my head, but it's not scary, and it's calm. And my family says that when I speak from Gabriel's point of view, because if they ask something higher than I could possibly ever ask, life, death, I talk to a lot of people who've died, humans, not just pets. So that's another gift I have, is talking to people who have died. I'm really lucky to talk to my parents and that kind of stuff. I'm very, very close to my dad. And so I get to talk to him all the time. And he always says, oh, tell your daughter congratulations on the blah, 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 whatever she does. So I say this all the time to my children and said, oh, by the way, Grandpa said blah, blah, blah. Oh, thank you. Tell him thank you. Well, he heard you. So it's a normal part of our conversation now. Listen to your heart. Listen to what you hear and figure out what your gifts truly are, and be open to maybe what you think your gift is not where your gift is. When I had to talk to the first dead person, I was like, are you kidding? And it was a coworker's mother. And I was like, why am I doing this? She followed me around for 3 days and yelled at me, no, talk to my son. No, you got to talk to my son. And I didn't know about separation and protecting myself and that kind of stuff. I didn't know Gabriel existed because I didn't have that education to understand who was with me. I've come a tremendously long way. And I talked about that the first time we talked about having to talk to somebody's dead mother and her yelling at me for 3 days. So you go with it. You go with it. I applaud everybody who tries to learn anything new, art or whatever it is, but promise yourself that you'll learn and you'll try and realize maybe you're trying to do something that isn't you. So do be open to the fact that, Dr. Jacalyn, did you 45, 30 years ago, because you're probably only 35. So when you were 5, did you Did you decide this is what I was going to do? I'm going to have a radio show and I'm going to be Dr. Jacalyn and I'm going to all this. No, you transition. We all transition every day, every year, because for you, I mean, you're a plethora of education and you don't have to crack open one book just by what you do every day here, getting the message out for so many amazing topics. I mean, I want to buy all the books that you got on your commercial. And all the it's like, I want the fairy book. Every time I see that commercial, I want the fairy book. That looks
Yes, and it is interesting, the journey that we take, and we have to be open to it. And to your point, everything's not for everyone. I certainly have had, I call them side gigs. I've had a lot of side gigs along the way. At the same time I was working or going to school, things I thought were interesting or I liked to learn, I wanted to try. And guess what? Many of them didn't work out. So it took all these years for me to find my passion and to get into my lane. So it's been such a pleasure.
You have to be okay to let go. And say, I didn't fail. No, that was learning. I don't know. Some people need to trip and kind of scrape up their nose and go, oh, that probably is bad, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, and I'm so happy that we had this program and we had a plethora of information, really fabulous. And I love having you as the co-host, and I'm glad that you were the guest also, because we get to have the whole time dedicated to just hearing about the universe and what's going on and how we have to spay and neuter, talk to our animals, talk to our plants, be kind to the environment, be kind to each other. So thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. We've got
Fridays.
Yes, me too. We've got 2 more shows coming up. In fact, the next show is Stories of Hope, Inspiration, Overcoming Adversity, and that's with Kay Reeves. So we will be on at, what time is it now? We are going to be going live in 29 minutes. And after that, we have the variety show. And so
my last interjection is, if anybody has a question and really wants to come on and ask me or whatever, reach out to us and we will get you on one of the shows. Because what I'm trying to do is at least once a month, it's just Jacalyn and I. We're just talking animals. We're going to get into really good topics of things but we really want to hear if I can help you. Again, I've done free readings for years because I want to give back what God gave me. And so this is a great platform. We will do this at least once a month of everybody getting a chance to call in. So do.
And Aminah, for people who are obviously watching the program, they can see the banner. But for the folks on Business Talk Radio, what's the best way to contact you?
BridgingWorlds.us. Everything you want to know about me, what it's like. And there's a great video at the bottom of my front page about a bull mastiff who's negotiating a couple's relationship. You have to
my gosh. Have to check that out. All right, we definitely will. All right, we've got to go. I've got to do a wardrobe change. So thank you so much all for being here. We will see you at the top of the hour with Kay Reeves. And again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye, Aminah.
See you next week.